Okay. I'm resident of Colorado for YouTube, Joel Sains. That's Vickie Reyes, Tom Hotz. We're here to review the Time Tunnel, Episode 7. This has to do with the Trojan War, which they do get some. Do get some things right here. They do get some things wrong, which is fine. I mean, I think they were saying Ulysses for the fact of the movie Ulysses Arrow, but it's more
Right.
it's Agamemnon is the
The
general.
whole thing
I
is
would have
the
got the better choice.
Roman names. They substituted the Roman names for the Greek names.
Yes, yes, yes.
So Athena is Minerva, and Hera is Juno, and so forth. So they just substituted the Roman names. But what? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you right away. This is the first episode. What they're trying to do is uh, go into mythology, go into mythical stuff, biblical stuff, and say it actually happened, and base the time tunnel episodes on that. And this is really one of the first episodes I think that does that. And it's not to me because I know people know the Trojan legend so well, so people. But one thing I did enjoy, the guy who played Paris was on General Hospital in the '60s.
Yes, he was. I was trying to figure out where I saw him from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He
You
was a
remember?
staple on daytime back in the day.
Yep. You remember. So but the one they had playing Helen, forget about it. I mean, she's
She used to do sci-fi back in the day. I remember her face from a few things. I think she even on Star Trek once.
not Star Trek.
Star Trek,
You don't think it was Planet of Blood, do you?
maybe. She looks like one of those Amazonian things that would happen.
Yeah,
Planet
yeah,
of the Women, stuff like that.
yeah. But all she did was prance around and
Well, she was supposed to be pretty. That's really all. But
exactly.
did you catch the one blooper of the MP40 machine gun? It was being held by one of the Greek warriors. It was like a
Mhm.
WW2 German submachine gun. It says that it was a massive historical goof. This prop
That's
was
jigs.
recycled from combat rat patrol, both shooting nearby. So somebody grabbed that shit and actually was standing there with it. I saw that and I had to look it up because it was funny. I'm surprised you didn't catch it because you're like the blooper king.
That's good. That's jigs, and they brought him back to to help him out, and then he comes back and
Oh, that's right. Jiggs got there. Didn't he get like real old and shit when he was coming
That's
back
right.
to the tunnel? And so they had
That's
to do
right.
something with all those knobs. I find it funny when they're always pushing the knobs. They're always making it look like it's such a strain. Mm.
hmm
They're always straining to push the knob.
No, he came back and he was old, and they had to go and tell him to go back to the end of the tunnel, and he comes and he just slouches. He just slouches to the end. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They
I'll do
pulled
whatever
a
you
lot
want.
of historical eras in this. They compressed like Mycenaean and Hellenistic and Roman. They had like Mycenaean warriors wearing gear that was modeled after the 5th century, 12th century actually. Sometimes I was just like, what were they doing?
1200 BC.
They grabbed stuff from Cleopatra and a couple other of those big epics
hmm
from back in the day. So
hmm
I mean, I'm trying to figure out. I think I saw where they got the Trojan horse from. I'm trying to remember what they said. Did you see where they got that from, or was that something they just kind of whipped up?
Well, I don't know where they got it from, but here's the thing: I wonder if they were finding out about the Trojan War and the Battle of
As
Troy
they were going,
Well, they knew it. They knew
at
all
the
about it.
time, like because the things they get wrong are pretty like simple.
right,
Agamemnon is the actual general, not Ulysses.
right.
Right.
Um,
Right.
They do mention Achilles. That's correct. He does get killed by a poison arrow. That's
Right.
correct.
That's right.
They don't mention Prince Hector at all.
They
That's
mentioned, well,
right.
we got Paris at least. We got
Yeah,
They don't
that.
want to go
Yeah.
too far into it.
Yeah.
And they have and they also have Abraham Sofair, who played the guy who developed the Trojan horse. And I don't think they had any
Not like they were going to go into the Odyssey, the Iliad, and the Aeneid all in a 40-minute show. But I think they were trying to, it sounds like they were trying to jam as much in there as they could, though.
Yeah.
and then to put in all those what stock footage did they use for this episode? Because it seemed to be half the episode.
Well, Cleopatra was definitely one of them.
What is it?
Cleopatra, remember?
Oh, it was Cleopatra.
Tom?
It was Cleopatra.
Liz Taylor. Liz Taylor. They took from Cleopatra. They borrowed some stock footage from Cleopatra.
That's just.
I think they actually took some. Yeah.
Oh wow! Oh wow! I didn't know because I never got. I never got in to see Cleopatra
Okay,
in the movie.
they said to save on the budget, they frequently reused the props and costumes from 20th Century Fox historical epics like the armor and the sets came from movies like The Egyptian or Cleopatra. Now, whether it was the Vivian Leigh Cleopatra or the Liz Taylor Cleopatra, they didn't really say.
I did
but
like that.
They've done so many epics by this point in Hollywood. I mean, that was like, the Ten Commandments and all that stuff,
And I think they made a decision for the budget, to cut the budget down to just use as much.
Well, their Troy was more Hollywood than it was historically accurate. They did have rich colors, the elaborate costumes, the marble structures. It was more Bronze Age, really, than Spartan.
Yeah.
Joseph Ruskin.
I'm nitpicking. I'm a nitpicky.
Remember Joseph Ruskin, who played
Joseph Ruskin, yeah. He also, where did I see Joseph? I put his stuff over here. Now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you catch the submachine gun?
Yeah.
Duel?
Yeah.
You did catch that?
Yes.
Well, it was World War II. That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, what I thought about that when I first saw that, I didn't think it was a goof. I just figured he used it because it was his style of weapon that he wanted to use. Because I figure he chose, because they said, "Oh, grab a gun," and he picks this. Again, I wasn't nitpicky about that one. I wasn't really nitpicky too much about this episode.
Well, I wasn't nitpicky, but I did a lot of studying about the Odyssey and the Iliad stuff, so it's like, come on now.
Yeah, they're like, because Prince Hector is actually killed in a one-on-one battle with Achilles. The movie Troy gets it right. A lot. If you've ever seen the movie with Brad Pitt. So
I love that, friend. It's actually a good movie. It's long, but it's well done.
Yeah. Very well done too. So this episode was really, it feels like an epic episode, and they did a good job with the
switch a lot in. They did.
Yeah.
No, I thought though that this is not one of the better ones.
Does Joseph Ruskin always play a villain role? Does he ever play a nice guy? I mean, Paris really, if you look at the Iliad and all that, Paris and Helen were kind of in love. She seems really irritated that Paris has kept her for 10 years in this particular episode. So I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, Joseph Ruskin was probably a better actor.
He was in Star Trek. He was in the Gamesters of the Triskelion. Yes, he was.
That's right. He played that.
Isn't that scary that we know that?
Played that administrator. And he had a great voice. He had a great voiceover voice. But he was just too many. I don't know about those fights. Those fights seem to be a little.
The fight scenes.
Yeah, Yeah, they seem
I
to
get
be
a kick
able
out
to
of the
drive.
fight scenes. I kind of like them myself. I thought it was a well done episode, actually. Of course, they're never going to get everything right. They don't have much time, so I'm just being funny about that. But I really liked it. I mean, they say that Helena Troy hardly had any parts in here. I thought they had her in here quite a bit.
Yeah.
The notes I was
I
reading.
guess because I had learned, I had back in junior high school, and I learned mythology, and I learned the Greek version
Right.
of the Troy thing, and to see it all mixed up with the Romans, it got me a little. It got me a little.
Well, it was pretty much Greek dressing set on a box lot,
Yeah.
Oh, it was Dee Harford. She used to do sci-fi. She's sci-fi royalty, actually. She played Helena Troy. She was married to Howard Hawks, the director of The Thing from
Nice.
Another World, 1951. She had guest roles in other Irwin Allen shows like Lost in Space, Land of the Giants, and otherworldly or regal characters. Because she's kind of Juno-esque, isn't she? Statuesque. She kind of reminds me of oh
Who's
gosh,
this now?
who played Helen?
Oh, the one who played Helen. She was in Land of the Giants.
Yeah, that said that she was in Lost in Space, Land of the Giants, and she played otherworldly or regal characters because she is kind of statuesque. I mean, she kind of reminds me of, she's just a tall Amazon kind of woman.
Yeah.
She was a good Helen, though. But when you think of Helen, I guess after watching Troy, I always think of Helen as that now instead of actually an older woman. But she was actually a kid though when they took her. So I mean, people didn't live that long back then, as we all know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They also get it right that Paris did judge a beauty contest. That is correct.
Yeah,
That is correct.
that is correct. But
They should have had that as part of the episode.
do you think they would have had time to fit it in, especially when they had the Trojan horse thing and all that going on?
That they did, but they didn't even have the inside of the horse. They just
What do you think? What was Tony's and what was their big struggle in this to you guys? What do you think that was this time?
You just saw him coming out of the bottom of the horse.
Coming out of the bottom of the horse, but I mean, they didn't really seem too challenged by morality or something that no moral. Was there a moral compass to this one?
No, not really.
Because we do in the other episodes. That's why I'm asking, because I didn't really see a moral compass particularly.
Yeah. No, there's more because they know they can't change like history, and they know what happens. What Tony and them are more interested is, did the Trojan horse actually happen? Did they actually build this big giant horse? And that's what they're it's more curiosity than anything else.
Well, because it's really myth, especially in the 60s, because at that point we really hadn't been digging up areas which kind of know now as Sparta. But I can see that. And then, well, I remember now, didn't the soldier drop the sword in the time tunnel control room? And so they said, "Oh wow, this is a Spartan sword or whatever, Greek sword."
Yeah.
What about the control room?
Where they dropped. Remember, the guy came in from the Trojan War, and they had to put him back in.
Yeah. I was thinking of that.
Dropped his sword. I don't know why everybody wasn't quick to jump on that shit. I would have been all over that. It's just like,
well, they didn't want to kill him. They were afraid they were going to.
No, I wanted the sword. He left it there. It didn't go back with him.
But the sword is an heirloom, literally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like mine, things like that.
It's like, keep the sword for souvenirs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. The horses, they say, also were in the wrong war. Everything was wrong. Everything I found when I researched this. They said the episode features modern American quarter horses to depict Trojan steeds. Historically, the breeds used in ancient Greek warfare would have been smaller and more robust, closer to Asian breeds or Iberian horses. Even the Trojan horse model was shown proportionally too small to hide men, yet large enough to suggest modern carpentry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
remember
really
also. I think they
nitpicky,
were all
though.
shorter.
That's just
They,
what I
they,
found when I looked it up, like IMDb, things like that. When you go into the guts of the
they
episode.
were a little shorter back then.
Oh God, everybody
Yeah.
was shorter back then.
That's another thing. Because I can imagine how can Doug and Tony. Well, actually, Tony was the one in the horse. Doug was the one, as usual. Tony was running around.
Yeah, Tony seems to be doing all the athletics in all of these episodes for the most part. Doug likes to
Yeah.
fist fight a little bit, but it is always Tony doing all the acrobatic.
Yeah. Doug gets tortured.
Yeah,
So, he's on the rack.
yeah. Oh, yeah. They forgot about him. They were racking him. You know what? I was just sitting there thinking about that when I kind of watched something and glossing over it today about the racking. It's just like, God, I could use one of those if my back hurts. It's just like, God, someday I just need to be racked. That's what's wrong with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks very therapeutic sometimes. Was there anything outstanding
The
that y'all thought that? I mean, what did Tom? I know you're always always looking for stuff. Was there anything particularly that jumped out at you about this one? Because I know you always take something from one of these. Was
dungeon.
this one of your favorite episodes? Because I was trying to. I know you told me one of them. This
Not
wasn't
one of my favorite episodes. But the dungeon, you see the dungeon in other episodes.
right.
And it looks like they're giving Doug a rough time.
Everybody gives Doug a rough. Does anybody not give Doug a rough time?
Yeah, the dungeon scene was cool. I mean, that's something because when they're like, "Oh, they're going to rack him," that was my thought when I first watched this. I'm thinking they're not going to show them racking him, and I was wrong.
Yeah, I didn't think I thought they weren't going to show that either, but there he was in repose. But I mean, they did. I mean, I guess they weren't really like stretching. I guess they just put him up there and left him there.
Yes.
Cut
the boulder. Cut the boulder.
Well, they did kind of. Also, this is something. They kind of condensed a complex myth and a long, what is it, like a 10-year war, Trojan War lasted 10 years, into a short time span. Made it just like a few days. It's just like this shit took a long time to transpire. I mean, can you imagine? Because they used to siege like that back in the day. I mean, you think that your husband, you send your husband out for a gallon of milk or a pack of smokes. I mean, he's still sieging 10 years later.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because they really literally did not come home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when by the time Ulysses got home, you got all that crazy going home. Where his wife Penelope won't allow anybody to marry her unless they can thread his bow, and actually put it through several rings. So I mean, there's whole bunches of stuff that go on that there's just so much things left out.
A lot of characters out of there.
A lot of characters, a lot of cool characters. I would have loved it if they had an Achilles in there. I would have loved Achilles. That would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been nice too.
You will never be more beautiful than you are now. Yeah, that's scary, isn't it? But I thought it was. I kind of thought it was. I thought it was fun. I mean, I didn't think it was horrible. Tom's like kind of grimacing about it though.
I'm going to be honest with you. I give this a 7.5 out of 10. This wasn't bad.
I didn't think it was bad. I'd give it about a 7.
I give it a 7.
I mean, history students and all. I'm just making fun of it because it's what I do.
I give it a 7.
But I thought it was a lot of fun. But I mean, in the episode though, I mean, they kind of subtly influence events, kind of, sort of. They raise questions in a time paradox because he tells them that they're going to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, is his presence there part of the reason Troy fell? why it was
Yeah.
raised to get the ground and fire. So I was wondering, was that a problem? Was that a little mythos that went on in here? But I
Well,
mean, they're so cavalier with history, That I mean, I'm trying to figure out do they have any rules in time tunnel? It doesn't seem like they're following any rules, are they? Or are they just making this up as they go?
I
I
don't
think
think
they're
they
making
followed.
it up.
Yeah, I don't think they followed rules for this specific one because they figured, well, it's inevitable anyway. There's
Right.
nothing they can do to change the outcome of this. It's like they tried to when you go back to the first episode, maybe for Tony and Doug, the first episode was a realization of we can't change anything.
Right.
It could have been. I'm not saying it is.
Well, I guess it's always like that, though. No one can change
Yeah.
anything in any of the episodes.
Yeah. What was it I was reading? What books? Oh, I forget what it's called. It's called the King series books. It's about this family that moves into a house that's full of time traveling doors.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
They mentioned Dark Shadows in it.
Did they really?
Yes, because
Really?
the one kid is obsessed with watching movies and television.
Figures that would be the thing they would focus on. It says they did say that this was one of the earlier sci-fi approaches to time travel, with historical settings as a backdrop, with
Yeah.
moral choices to boot.
Yeah, the kid in the one kid in the book, when they see the big house in the book, they see this big, because they live in this big mansion like house. When he looks up at the mansion, his first thought is of Barnabas, and he says Barnabas because he sees the eerie windows and stuff.
Yeah, and I like those little like gifts or Easter eggs people throw out there like that once in a while, because only another fan would know that,
Yeah,
Not everybody would know that.
it's an interesting read. It's an
What's
interesting
it
read.
called again?
I think it's called the King series books because the family's called his last name is King.
I believe I've heard of those.
The dad's a school teacher. Their mom goes missing. She gets kidnapped by a guy who was battling with Atlantis. He's this big caveman.
Oh, it's a movie, right?
It's a book.
It's a book, but in the book writes itself.
It pretty much does. Yeah.
They make their story as they go along.
I don't know if they have to change they have to keep certain events the way they are.
Right.
Or doomsday will happen because there's this room where the end of the world happens.
Right.
Yeah. And
I was going to mention that Star Trek Next Generation also did a time travel door story.
Yeah.
The Icarians, where you have a planet and you have different doors leading into different places, different times. And didn't you have that on Land of the Lost too?
Yeah, well, they fall through a waterfall, and they end up. You remember Marshall, Will, and Holly? Yeah, don't get me going. I'll sing the whole thing. I used to love that show when I was a kid. I lived for Sid and Marty Krofft. In college, that was just tripping stuff, boy. I'm telling you. I just laugh. It's just like, what was going on in the 70s when we were watching that stuff? I mean, what a bizarre decade, really. Seriously, all the stuff that came out.
Yeah, then they made it into a comedy movie, which was like...
yes. You know what? I actually enjoyed it. I thought I was going to hate it because I was such a huge fan. But Will Ferrell's just funny. I mean, I just look at Will Ferrell and I laugh. I mean, how can you not? I mean, that was just funny. I mean, they get, what is it? What did they find? Was it, they eat those, what is it? Something's like they're tripping on something. And they eat that giant egg.
Yeah.
Or whatever. No, wait, I'm getting that confused with Caveman, with Ringo Starr. That's another good one.
Oh, my God.
Sun's up.
Yeah. Is there anything you guys want to add about this episode before we get?
No, it pretty much, speaks for itself. I mean, it was kind of
pretty much standardized. To be honest with you,
it is. It was Yeah.
And you see other episodes where they talk about mythology. There's one episode dealing with the Bible, which I'm not going to get into,
Right.
but but they deal with mythological things and say it actually happened. And the Bible one, excuse me, the Bible one has more of a religious tone,
Undertone.
tone to it, and it brings in a couple of like Anne is shown to be an atheist in that one, and we'll
Right.
talk about that when we come to it, which is more of a side thing, but
It was a real tight episode, though. I mean, it was a little all over the place, a smidge.
Yeah.
well, I think 7 is a pretty good score for it.
Seven's a really good score for it. I enjoyed it. I'd say I didn't like it. I mean, I just the one prior to that, it was just just really done really well. It was kind of tight.
Yeah.
It was still great. It was still good. I mean, people learn from it a little bit. You get interested in the history of it all. People go look it up.
Hey, did they have Jerry in this episode? I'm trying to remember whether he did anything. I always like to see Sam Groom in there. Excuse me.
Good.
I always like to see Sam Groom in there, pulling his shit and trying to come up with the crazy ideas that get everybody else in trouble, and stuff like that. I don't think he was in this. One. But the other thing about how Joseph Ruskin met his death, I mean, that was kind of cheap. I mean, Tony saved him, and then the next thing you know, he gets shot with an arrow. I thought that was.
Helen did not want to go back to Agamemnon, according to. I mean, she was in love with Paris, so that they kind of did not. Even
Yeah.
So I mean, that I would have. That was the lack. There was no romance. I was expecting romance between Paris and Helen, and it was just like an old married couple.
Yeah.
You
kind of get that sense of intimacy in the movie Troy.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I mean, Orlando Bloom's kind of a wuss in that. He just, I mean, his big brother's got to take care of everything, as we all know. Yeah. That is such a good movie. God, I hope I don't watch that tonight.
The whole thing comes out of the castle, and that's basically the castle and the whatchamacallit, the castle and the stock footage. The stock footage. Although I did like that stock footage where the Greeks fell on the ground while
they're coming out of the horse.
Right. The Greeks fell on the ground and the Trojans rode over them, and then the Greeks got up and shot them. That was pretty good. I guess that comes out of Cleopatra, huh? Because that was a smart move.
Well, he really borrowed from a lot of the stuff. I mean, I didn't realize how much stock footage is out there. I mean, some of it's just plain lazy.
Yeah.
Not for the series, but for some of the movies. Because I mean, I've watched. It's just like I've seen that, and I hear the dying guy. We've all heard the dying guy in the same dying guy and everything. I mean, it's kind of funny how certain things followed into the 60s, especially the 60s, in some of the series. It's kind of a hoot, I have to admit.
I think the best line, it just wakes you up, you're falling asleep, and then you hear the guy who plays Agamemnon says, "Gods from Olympus."
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? What happened?
Yeah.
I thought that was
True story.
really cute.
Yes.
Yeah, not one of the best, not one of the worst.
I'm trying to remember at the end of that before we cut off. Where did we leave off with this one? I have because we didn't do it. I
The
forgot.
next one, oh,
Where were we? Where
where
did we go?
they're standing on the hill, Doug and Tony and the two of them, and they're looking at the carnage of Troy, and then all of a sudden, Tony and Doug turn their clothes change, and
Right. I love how their clothes
and the
change.
guy says,
That just cracks
"God,
me
the ways of the gods are strange indeed."
Yes.
You know, I'm like,
I
yeah,
think
that's
it's funny how their clothes are just clean every episode.
that's for sure. So next week, I think it's the Custer episode, isn't it? Massacre.
I think that's where they end up, right? Didn't they
Yep,
end up
yep.
somewhere like that?
It's Massacre. Just like the Custer
Okay,
series
that's right,
that replaced it.
That's right.
Just like the Custer series that replaced it.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're just not going to get over that, are you, Tom?
Oh my God.
He's really
Yeah.
pissed 50 years later.
Which actually was a better episode, I think, than this one. I mean,
What's that? The Custer one?
Mhm.
It looks
The
good.
next
I
one.
haven't watched it yet. I've been trying really hard not to binge. I'm trying to show resolve.
Did you see that one yet? The Custer episode?
No, I haven't watched it yet. I'll probably watch it tonight.
Oh, that's good. How's Sophie doing?
She's
I
doing
love
good.
Sophie.
She's scared of the thunderstorm, but I think it's gone now. She don't
That's
like
Sophie, you're home, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's Sophie.
That's Sophie. I love it. That's cute. That's cute. So, you have
Same
anything
bad time,
else?
same bad
Any other
channel.
comments?
No, this was a really fun episode, especially to go back and look at the actual history of it. And
This is good for kids
Yeah,
in junior high school.
yeah.
Was this prime time or was this? I can't. Was this
It
prime
was
time?
prime time. It was Friday at 8:00 at night Eastern.
So they would say that Lost in Space was on earlier.
Yeah, Lost in
Because
Space.
that's
I
why
think
they
was
made the doctor
Wednesday.
do so much stupid crap. Because
Lost in Space was Wednesday at 8.
Watching.
Friday, if Time Tunnel was Friday night at 8.
Right. I was just trying to remember because I know they said that Lost in Space it was on an earlier slot. That's why they did so much kiddie stuff with the doctor so much all the time.
And like I said, you're going to see the Lost in Space costumes in some of these future Time Tunnel episodes.
Right.
And which I'm not going to get into. In fact, the episode after next, you'll see a Lost in Space costume, and I'm not going to say what. And that's a trivia question. That's a trivia question for somebody to figure out. All right, so is Sunday good for? Is Sunday good for?
Keep me on my toes Sunday and
Yeah, Sunday's good. Sunday's good for me.
Sunday at 8:00.
Yeah, I'll see you then.
For Massacre.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's great as usual.
Yeah. Link to the Literary License podcast will be in the description box. You can get Tom Hotz and Vickie Ray on Facebook if you want to reach out to them. This has been a lot of fun, guys. You have a great and safe night.
you too, hon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye,
Be
y'all.
well.